PoeTober.
We've seen many things macabre already inside of this PoeTober. Well, let's do something a little more lighthearted. Today we're looking at The Raven. Again, well, it's just called The Raven, as we learned the first time around with Universal. This one is a barrel of laughs and even stars the guy from The Shining. So let's take a look at Corman's The Raven.
Well, now for something a bit different compared to what we've seen. While there was some comedic moments and tales of terror and the obvious tongue-in-cheek humor of Vincent Price throughout the movies I've been covering, The Raven is an almost entirely comedic piece. This one recasts Price along with Peter Lorre from Tales of Terror, but also includes Boris Karloff, who we've already seen in this Poe-trospective from his work in the 30s. At this time, he was obviously much older, but I'll come back to that fact later. Surprisingly, we also see a very young Jack Nicholson. Yes, that Jack Nicholson in one of his first notable roles. The story follows the sorcerer Erasmus Craven, who is mourning the death of his wife Lenore when he's visited by a talking raven, a crude and demanding one who states that he needs help turning back into a human. Craven is unsure how, but eventually he restores him mostly to his correct form and introduces himself as Adolphus Bedloe, played by Peter Lorre. He states that he was transformed by Dr. Scarabus, who is a high-ranking magician and was the enemy of Craven's father. With the assistance of Bedloe's son Rexford and Craven's daughter Estelle, they head to Scarabus's castle to retrieve Adolphus's supplies and investigate the claim that Lenore had been seen in the castle. This really is a triple threat of classic horror, with Price and Lorre trading quips constantly and Karloff playing the sinister yet seemingly aloof villain. Apparently Karloff struggled with Lorre's tendency to improvise comedically, a trait that Price could often add to. Price later stated that Karloff struggled in many ways on the set due to his age and general demeanor. Apparently the costumes were quite heavy, which made it difficult for Karloff to walk, and being lifted on a floating throne in one scene was very unpleasant for him.
Quoth the Raven. Spoilers.
Well, through a series of crosses and double crosses, we learned that Adolphus intentionally led Craven to Scarabus so he could learn his magic techniques, and that Lenore was actually alive the entire time and had been living with Scarabus due to his wealth and power. A battle ensues between Craven and Scarabus with amazingly cheesy 60s special effects. Flying chairs, crazy magic, fire. It's got it all. It's amazing. Craven emerges victorious and chastises Adolphus, who has been returned to the form of a raven. Price ends it with the fourth wall breaking.
Quoth the Raven, nevermore.
This movie is amazing. It's funny because when I first saw it years ago, I didn't like it at all. I enjoyed the more serious tone of The Mask of Red Death. Call me a film snob or whatever at that time. Now I find it absolutely hilarious, and it's really unique among films at this time. As far as an adaptation of the Raven poem from 1845, really only the beginning of the film bears any resemblance. A despondent man mourning the loss of his beloved Lenore and encountering a talking raven. The rest of the story was created for this version. And just like The Pit and the Pendulum, this movie also received a book adaptation, but this time by Eunice Sudak. I think that's how you say it. Again, a book based on a movie that's based on a poem. It's so weird. Also, there was a comic book released. The aesthetic of the movie is, of course, great, and the added fierceness of Karloff gives the actors a fun dynamic. It's too bad we really don't see that much of Nicholson, but he would become the maniac we know in later years. He actually appears with Karloff in The Terror, which was made only because this movie was completed early. But that's a whole different story. It seems like in the modern day, people either love or hate this one, but I'm all for it. You always find me raving about it.